No pressure, right? But it's true. I think since the last time we've met 2 years ago at Harvard, and I think for quite some time now, I have been trying to leverage many elements of problem-driven iterative adaptation and human-centered design in the work that we do at UNICEF. But instead of trying to ask permission to do development differently, like a good girl, nasty woman, I have been trying to pose a different kind of questions, and I came to the realization that, in the words of Jeff Lawrence, there's no such a thing as a dysfunctional organization, because every organization is perfectly aligned to achieve the results it currently gets. So at UNICEF, for example, we are very decentralized. So you might say that we have the room and the space to do development differently. The reason why we don't do it, I mean, the reasons are varied and multiple, but I think we need to admit, as Lenny has said in the beginning of the day, that doing development differently is very hard. And not all of us are equipped to do it. We don't have that special sauce that Taylor talked about. By the way, I think you should bottle that and market. There's a huge entrepreneurial opportunity there. But we really don't. So taking a page a little bit from Don Draper, one of the characters from Mad Men, one of my favorite shows, and I'm fully aware that I might be the only person quoting Don Draper today. So he once said that if you don't like the conversation, change it. So instead of thinking that we're going to come up with ways to change a large organization, their process and their systems and incentives, let's just pivot. And that was something that we did, especially for me, going from working at a country level and then joining our headquarters, where all of a sudden the compelling question was, how do you engage in these complex problems when you're working globally? So we pivoted, and we're using data science as a tool to do development differently. Because unlike traditional statistics, data science is much more fluid, it's much more dynamic, it embraces disorder, it embraces uncertainty, it embraces complexity, and help us give us a glimpse towards the different patterns of human activity, communication, mobility, behavior, all of which, as you can imagine, are very, very important to help us understand complex systems and complex problems at scale. So that's why at UNICEF we have been working with GovLab, which is a research center at NYU, to create data collaboratives, to try to leverage big data and data science to help us understand these complex problems at scale. And in classic PDIA fashion, we're starting with problems. So we are working with our country offices all over the world to understand some of these concrete problems affecting children. And we have questions like, can we use social media, for example, to try to understand some of the drivers of suicide in teenagers in India? Can we use cell phone data, mobility data, to help us understand how people move in places like Somalia? Can we use network analysis to see to what extent companies' child labor policies have any influence on the child labor policies in their entire supply chain? And we're not doing this alone. We're working or hoping to work with lots of data scientists from private sector, academia, and citizens, because citizens are really a big component in the construction of meaning of the data sets we're looking at. And of course, we need the data. And the most relevant data sets that we're looking at currently sit with corporations in the form of web clicks, like buttons, cell phone data, online purchases, search queries. And that's the one that we are looking at, because those are the ones that can help us with these complex systems. But of course, having access to those data sets is not going to be easy, but that's part of what these data collaboratives is about. And the goal here is not to think that these data collaboratives will help us solve complex problems, but will help us understand that at a really large scale. And the goal of this initiative is about learning what works and what doesn't work so that we can come up with better policies about data sharing, especially from the private sector, and emerging issues like privacy and ethics. And just to end with a quote by Jane Jacobs, who said that to see complex systems as order and not chaos, it takes understanding. And I think that's at the heart of doing development differently. And we do hope that data science can help. Thank you.